Hello.
Hi. Hi.
Episode
Eight.
8.
8. Oh, fantastic. Episode 8. Okay.
We're talking access today.
We are talking access
Access
today.
about women having access, not having access, how we creatively can create more access, how sometimes access is absolutely impossible, and don't judge it
We have to surrender to it.
because there will be another way.
Yeah. Or another time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or another, opportunity. I think we can get bogged down in what we're not doing, what we don't have access to, and then our heart, mind, body, soul shuts off all creativity and curiosity around how else can we move, what else do we have access to. It can be a very scarcity mindset.
Yeah, and I think I know this is definitely what I'm like. I will go to the closest thing I have access to in that time to get done or achieve, or and I don't allow myself to. I think that's one of the ways we fall down as women in keeping ourselves small, is that there are so many small things that in our immediate access to do, to organize, to plan, to create, that it's easier for us to go to those things, and not spend time and invest time thinking about actually just a little bit beyond that. It doesn't have to be way beyond it. And actually, the reality is sometimes even just a little bit beyond it is where the magic is. It's where the gold is. Because if you go too far beyond and you think, okay, well, I don't feel I've got access to it, but if I create access, then it will be unsustainable and not last, because you have to, it's so too hard every time. Whereas, whereas there are changes we can make to adjust to the sort of next expansion out.
Exactly. And it is one step at a time. And, it's fabulous to have these big dreams and, like, what can I have access to? What's the huge dream that I want? But you have to work to get there.
Yeah.
In my mind, I think of women I'd love to photograph or experiences I would love to have, but they're massive, massive, massive dreams. I'm not at that stage yet.
No.
And I think sometimes, oh God, like, what
never going to happen.
Or why isn't it happening? Or I'm not there yet.
Mm-mm.
And that's okay. It has to be sometimes those little like you said, those little things that you have access to, you have to work through that. You have to have the experience and the skills and the knowledge. And you know what? Sometimes you have to go through those things so that you can meet the people that will get you to the next level of access.
Yeah.
Because there's that saying, and it's terrible, but sometimes it is, your access is who you know.
Yeah. I was actually talking to a great friend 2 days ago, and she helps to run a charity, and she came over to New Zealand. She's not in New Zealand, she's somewhere else. And she came over to New Zealand last May, and we were chatting. And we were actually talking about her charity and getting sponsors and getting support and getting donations and getting... and we were also talking about photography, and we started talking about access. And I didn't really think anything of it. And then I spoke to her 2 days ago, and she said, oh, it's great. I'm working through all of, I'm now doing this part of the charity and this part. And I remember us talking about access, and I've all of a sudden realized that, you know, being a woman in our 40s, you know, heading 40s to 50s, we have a lot of contacts who are potentially CEOs or heads of businesses or managers, or, you know, because we're of that age, we're of that stage. And she said, and all of a sudden, I have looked beyond the ones which are the natural, yes, this is what I should be doing, or this is what everyone else is doing, but actually look to my own life and gone, who have I got access to? What have I got access to? And she said, and all of a sudden I'm transforming the charity. And it's just so amazing because, as I said, it's that, as we talked about, it's that little, you know, it's not immediately going, what's right in front of me, but what's to the side of me, you know,
Exactly.
and what's behind me, and you know, and who are surrounding me, and who am I having coffee with, and thinking creatively around how people can come and be part of projects and be part of creative ideas who might not. And actually living rurally, that's been a massive adjustment for me. I've gone from 8 months ago thinking, oh my, I'm here and I only have access to this amount of, you know, potential clients and whatever, to wow, I've got these potential clients, but they're interconnected with these people, and then also I can offer different services, and, you know, and then I think that is how being creatively open to access can be so powerful.
Yes. Yes. And it is such a creative space to be in if you're open, if you're open to it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we have these thoughts or dreams or goals, and then, like you said, you might have coffee with someone and they'll be like, oh yeah, but have you thought of this? And it's like a whole new door opens up, and you have access to something else, and not necessarily the people or the opportunity, but thoughts, or that one thing could transform, like you said, like the charity's changing because, you know, she's been able to think in a different way. And that's the other thing of access, is accessing you.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be access to someone else, access to time, because you're the one creating everything. And if your mind is so bogged down in, oh well, I don't have access to such and such, or I don't have access to 5 hours of time, or I don't have access to $1 million. No, but what do I have access to?
Yeah.
We've all got the same amount of time every day.
Yeah.
We've all got 24 hours in a day. You know, like, it comes back to us and how we access our thoughts, our emotions, our creativity.
Yeah.
Because that's how you grow it. We can't always rely on the external access.
No.
To make these things come true.
Yeah.
And it'll be hard, and, you know, of course there is the time access and the money access. Then you just have to get really creative.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And actually, you've made me think, because today I've started my new 52 project, A Love Affair with Light 52, which is about light. And it's really interesting because I know for the first few years of my journey as a very intentional photographer, I used to get so frustrated because I see other people's images and I'm like, you know, but you're somewhere where it's beautiful light, you know, you're in wherever, by the beach or where this, and I'm here and the light's not very beautiful. And I remember, because I was in the Middle East for a while and the light was so harsh and stark, and I would get so frustrated. I'm like, but the light's not the same here. And I think, and actually I've just sent off the first prompt, which is window light. And it's exactly that. Everybody has access to a window. Everybody has access to a window. So actually the reality is yes, you might not be living in Italy where the light is like, gold,
Oh,
or, even New Zealand where it's beautiful. You might be somewhere where it's winter at the moment, but everybody has access to a window and has the ability. Even if they don't have a DSLR, they can use their phone. If they don't have a phone, they can use their eyes. If they don't have, it's like, it doesn't have to be anything. Doesn't There's no expectation of creation. There's no deliverable. It's not a competition. It's really about that understanding, that opportunity of training, exercising your eyes, exercising your way of seeing, and going, well, what do I have access to? Well, I've got windows over there and windows over there, and there are cars out there with windows, and all of a sudden, and there are some windows which are totally clear, and then some which have got frosting on, and some of them have got artificial light coming through, and some of them got and it's like, all of a sudden there are all of these opportunities to be able to read light without having to think, well, I have to wait until golden hour, and then I have to go 2 hours down the road and get to the beach, and then I have to it is exactly that. It's exactly that access of understanding, because not everything, and a little bit like just now, I've arrived in my studio and I'm all flustered, and the washing's on at home, and all of these things, and at the moment I don't feel like I've created access to a solid routine and understandings where I can walk out the house and arrive at the studio and be on time and all of that stuff. But I will, over time, over the next, little while, I will build that. And then I'll have access to a clearer headspace and an ability to be a bit more flexible and be a bit more punctual and all of those things. And so it's
just
so many.
reframe that though. You were on time for our call.
Yes, that's true.
We always chat before we start recording.
Yes.
And just because you were setting up when we were chatting, that's okay.
Yeah.
Like,
I knew you'd be okay with it.
we still have access to each other.
Yeah.
We always chat before we record.
Yeah.
So in fact, you've already started that routine and that access.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and that's another thing with access is we have to look at the perspective. I'm touching my glasses, but of how we look at things.
Yeah.
Because we very easily judge ourselves, and we do shut down ourselves and go, oh, well, I wasn't organized, I wasn't this, I wasn't that. When actually you were.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And actually, funnily enough, yesterday, and I think one of the things that I said to you as well is, like, financially, I'm still like juggling things and everything. But actually, yesterday I paid 2 months worth of electricity bills, so I have that clear, and my rent's on time, and I'm organized, and I have income coming in from here and doing this, and I have this planned, and I think that is exactly right. I think we so quickly go to the damn. I'm not doing this or I'm not doing that. But actually, the reality is that there are all these things that we are doing. And I have made it through the school holidays, and I have got the kids to school, and they are happy. They have got the swim stuff. But tell me, because we were talking about your project last week, about your project with women, and the app and the magic, and we rather inappropriately thanked the pandemic, or thanked the shift in brain space. How, in terms of access, is that working for you? Because I know you've opened up your project to global photographers, or global women. They don't have to be photographers, but global women. And obviously you're in Australia and all of that sort of stuff. So, how's that feeling for you? How's it working?
I wrote my email yesterday. So I send an email every Wednesday. And the first line was, this project has made me cry almost every day, just for the sheer joy and beauty of it. And that the Shutter app that I use, so like you're saying, during the pandemic, I did try with FaceTime, but there's just screenshots, so you couldn't edit them. And anyway, some smarty pants came up with these apps that now photographers can shoot in RAW from their computer, from their iPad, from their phone with a client or, project person, anywhere in the world. If you've got access to a smartphone, then you can use this app. And so I have opened up this project and to women worldwide. It's for women over 40. And I did a shoot this morning at 6 a.m. with someone, and it was their midday. And it's just to have access to women globally from my little office here, women that I would never meet, probably in my life, like in real life, in my lifetime. And it isn't so much about, I'm going to get all teary, it isn't so much about the photos. Like the lady I was shooting this morning, she's like, tell me about why you want to do this. Because I ask questions and I prompt and I guide through the shoot and I'm asking them about their life. And she spun it around on me. And we'd had a beautiful chat about her. And she goes, why do you personally want to do this? And I was saying how last year there was a lot of death and a lot of cancer and a lot of,
loss,
health issues with friends and family. And I went to a lot of funerals last year and they were all women. So my grandma was 90, but, everyone else was sort of around my age, or a little bit older. And there was no photos. There was photos of childhood. There was photos of in your teens, on your wedding day, of course. And then we kind of drop off. And, there's the photos of you cooking Christmas lunch or, holding someone else's baby or, in the background or a selfie or on holidays, which are beautiful, and that is life. And I understand that. But it really highlighted to me that we're very hidden, almost invisible, yet sometimes, most of the time, we're holding everything together. We hold everything together, we get everything sorted, we create the magic in a home, we support everyone else, we, love everyone, and then we're kind of in the background as well. And it felt very personal. And it's very, like I said, it's not really even about the photos for me, these sessions. It's about hearing another woman's story, even if it's for half an hour, just listening to someone else. We both feel seen, we both feel heard. Walls come down, beautiful things come out of these conversations that will never get shared ever again. Secrets come out, and all of that is translated into beautiful photos. And no one else will know the conversations that were had to create those photos. And the women will see those photos and they see themselves because of the energy and the conversations we have around this in this photo shoot. The photos can't be anything else but themselves because they're speaking so beautifully about themselves, about their life. And the beauty of the app is, and everyone is loving these remote sessions because they can't see me.
Yeah.
And they can't see themselves.
So they can just hear your voice.
They can only hear my voice.
Wow.
And the intimacy that comes out of that. So every person that I've done 10 now in 2 weeks. Every woman that I've photographed has said it feels like I'm talking to my best friend on the phone and I can just be myself.
That's amazing.
And so when you think of it like that, when you're talking to your best friend, you're very animated, like your eyes are different, your posture's different, like there's no walls up, you don't feel like you have to perform.
Yeah.
And because they can't see themselves or see me, that shows in the photos.
Mm.
And so to have that access via technology that someone created through a global pandemic that shut down the world, like that is such a gift.
Yeah.
Such a gift. And I'm so grateful for that access, for that opportunity to be creating these photos with these women, to then, send them beautifully curated, not really edited, because I don't edit harshly, I'll sort of straighten things up or,
Yeah.
make a black and white or whatever, but to send them these photos of them so they feel seen, they feel heard. And, a couple of ladies have emailed me even a few days after they've looked at their gallery and they just keep saying, every time I look at them, I see something different in me.
Hmm.
Or one lady, she was like, I cannot believe you captured this side of me. I don't show this side of me. And I
Wow.
didn't recognize this side of me.
It's so intriguing listening to you because you're like, I'm thinking, and I don't know whether anybody listening is thinking, but you're like, what would I show that I don't normally show? Do you know what I mean? It's so interesting because in some ways you don't, I mean, I don't know what I don't show. I mean, I do,
Exactly.
but I don't really.
And this again comes back to accessing ourselves
Yeah. Yeah.
and being in spaces that reflect back to us how important we are, how
Mm.
important our stories are, how beautiful our images are. It's not about, the beautiful photo. It's about the essence of the woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's only one of us. There is
Yeah.
only one of us. And I know I bang on about it, and I know I'm a little bit obsessive about this at the moment. And I think it's the trauma of last year of just losing people or having huge health issues with close friends and family, and just being like, once you're gone, you're gone, like
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're
But
here.
it's really, have you seen
It's
that? You probably haven't. So I think it's Pixar. There's a film called Coco Melon. That I was watching with my daughter over the holidays, and it's about the Festival of the Dead in South America.
yeah,
And I didn't appreciate this, and forgive me, anybody that's listening this is part of your culture, but I didn't. So when people die, you have not a shrine, but a collection of photographs of the people in your family.
yeah,
And they have this thing that when this boy that's living goes into this, the place where everyone who's died are, and they're all skeletons and they're all like beautifully painted and everything like they are. And then once the last person that goes that remembers you, that dies, that still remembers you, then you disappear for eternity, like disappear. Whereas otherwise you stay in this kind of mid space. It's such a beautiful, like it's children, it's cartoon, it's It's just so beautiful. I encourage anybody to watch it who's an adult and who's related. And it's
Yeah.
just so awesome because it talks about and you know, and they and when the little boy goes in and he sees all these photographs, you know, the grandmother saying, these aren't photographs, they're people. And
Yeah.
it's that as photographers and as individuals who are so passionate about that. And I had a beautiful conversation. I've a couple of beautiful conversations with older ladies from the community who have been into my space, and we've been talking about that sort of thing. And we were talking about photographs being people and photographs and how like they hold human beings in your life, you know, because you know, when you're younger and you see pictures of people that aren't around or older people, you go, oh, they're like, you know, it takes the loss and it takes the grieving and it takes the understanding of people really, really close to you to appreciate the value of photographs, of those treasures, of that remembering. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's the value, like this is what I'm passionate about is like, especially as we get older, we hold so much wisdom, so much life experience, so much knowledge, the things that our heart, our essence. And you know, the photograph is the artifact of that human. Like I've got a photo, I've got a wedding photo of my great, what would they be? They would be my great great grandparents in my lounge room, and my great great grandfather. You would swear it was my youngest son standing there.
Oh my God.
You would swear it was my youngest son. I appreciate and like value that connection incredibly. Like I'm like that's our history. Like you come from that person.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's so, and to have access to that type of history,
Yeah.
to show where you come from, where you belong. Oh, makes me emotional every time.
Yeah.
It's just, and it's like, these are my people.
Yeah. And it's
And you
really
know, that's
interesting
not
because I don't
about
have
women.
pictures up. Sorry.
Yeah.
Carry on.
No, go.
No, I was going to say
Go.
I don't have pictures up of my family because as soon as I get them out of the box, it becomes too hard because I feel that separation even more.
Yeah.
And it's in many ways I look to my children, I'm like, they probably actually would quite like them. Like, you know, like it's almost me being selfish not putting them up in some ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I love your project. I love it. I love it because it's forming that thread across the world and the like-minded understanding of what it is to be a woman and what it is to sometimes be unseen and unacknowledged, and also the way with the technology it's allowing you and your subject to have access to windows that work without too much time and cost.
Yeah.
Because
It's happening.
the reality is, you know, as a woman, you might like, well, I would really like to have some pictures of me, but I can only do it between 12 and 1, and I want this photographer and blah, blah, blah. And, whereas you can make it happen, which is really amazing. And I'm
And
excited.
like I was explaining, my most beautiful friend signed up. She was one of the first ones that signed up actually when I started it. And I always, every time she lives in Tasmania, and I'm continually like, every time I see her, I'm like, let me take your photo. She's like, no, not take my photo. And she doesn't say it that politely. She says, fuck off. And so I'm forever like, I love you. I want to take your photo. You're so important to me. You're important to your children. She's a single mom, and that's our time. But I don't care. I'm going to keep talking. And she is always no, no, no. Anyway, I announced the project. She was one of the first ones to sign up, and I cried. And when you book, I send a questionnaire, and you have to fill in the questionnaire. I made all of the questions required questions because I'm like, you're not getting out of this. Like, if the questions that you haven't answered, it's not for me. The questionnaire is not for me. It helps me. It guides me so that I can focus on, you know, like some women say, I don't want my, I don't know, chest photographed. I don't want my legs photographed, whatever. And the questionnaire is not for me. It's for you to get insight into you.
Yeah.
Because one of the questions is, how do you feel about being 40? And some of the responses have been incredible. And the photos are, they're like her essence. These photos aren't for me. I take them and they're on my computer. They're for you. They're to show you you. They're to honor you. They're to give you space. They're to give you access to you. That is the whole point of my project.
Yeah.
And, you know, when I started it, I thought, even if I get one woman to sign up so I can take a photo of her and have this amazing conversation and take these beautiful photos, and even if she has one photo of herself that is thoughtfully, deeply created for her, I'll have achieved my goal.
Yeah. Yeah. Such a gift.
And it's just, yeah, I'm passionate about seeing women in photos. You know, like one of the ladies said today that I took a photo of, she goes, oh, the only photos I've got really of me are taken by other people, and I look at them and cringe and go, is that really me? Like, is that really what I look like? Is that what I've turned into? And I'm like, that's pretty much the photos that women have of themselves, is of someone else taking them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm very grateful for that access through technology. And, you know, and Instagram. Instagram has such a bad name sometimes, but it also has given us access. I mean, we wouldn't be able to do this podcast without Instagram.
No.
I wouldn't have met you.
No. No, I agree. I absolutely agree. And I think it goes back to circling back to what you were saying earlier about saying how we don't have access. You know, it's easy to berate ourselves and berate our situation and get frustrated and go, well, I don't have access to this, that, and the other. But actually, we have access to the entire world if we figure it out.